Runaway teen refused to leave a Hell's Angel daughter pinned beneath a van. 801 bikers cried on a burning stretch of highway outside Phoenix ***. A teenage runaway had one chance to disappear forever. Instead, he lay down in gasoline beneath a crushed van and refused to move. What happened next made 801 outlaw bikers weep without shame. This is the story of the boy who stayed. Noah Cole was 17 and already tired of living, not the dramatic kind of tired, not the kind that writes poems about pain, the quiet kind, the kind that learns how to pack a backpack in under 30 seconds. He had been in 3 foster homes in 2 years. The last one sat on the outskirts of Mesa ***, a beige house with a cracked driveway and curtains that never opened. The state called it temporary placement. Noah called it survival. His foster father, Darren Pike, believed boys were fixed the way you fix broken fences with force. If Noah spoke too slowly, he was lazy. If he spoke too fast, he was mouthy. Bruises became lessons. Silence became protection. 3 nights ago, Darren came home drunk again. Noah didn't wait for the shouting to finish this time. He climbed out the bedroom window with a hoodie, a half bottle of water, and $12 in crumpled bills. He didn't leave a note. Nobody had ever left one for him. Now he walked along Interstate 17, thumb out, face burned red by the desert sun. Cars sped past like he was invisible. Maybe he was. He had learned something important in the foster system. If you look small enough, scared enough, the world forgets you exist. And Noah wanted to be forgotten. He told himself he'd head north. Maybe to Flagstaff, maybe farther. 18 wasn't far away. If he could just stay off the radar until then, he'd be free. That was the plan, but plans don't survive the sound of twisting metal. 2 miles ahead, traffic began to slow. Brake lights blinked like a field of red warning lights. Noah could have turned around. He almost did. Then he heard it. A scream, not loud, not dramatic, just a small human sound that didn't belong in the desert heat. And something inside him, something bruised but not broken, made him run toward it. He didn't know yet that this choice would rewrite his life. The accident looked unreal. A white commercial van lay, tipped sideways across 2 lanes of traffic. Its rear axle had crushed the driver's side of a black SUV beneath it. The SUV roof was flattened nearly to the steering wheel. Smoke drifted into the hot air. Gasoline shimmered across the asphalt. People stood at a distance, phones raised, whispering. Some were calling 911, some were just watching. Nobody was close enough to touch it. The driver's door of the SUV was gone. That's where Noah heard her. "Help!" A girl's voice, thin, shaking. Noah dropped his backpack and slid onto the pavement, ignoring the heat that burned through his jeans. He crawled toward the wreckage. Inside the crushed frame was a girl about his age. Dark hair stuck to her forehead with blood. Her chest was pinned by the collapsed roof. Her legs were trapped beneath the dashboard. She couldn't move. She could barely breathe. "I'm here," Noah said quickly, his voice steady in a way that surprised him, her eyes locked onto his. Fear lives in eyes differently than anywhere else. "Don't leave," she whispered. He didn't ask her name, didn't ask what happened, didn't think about police scanners or foster warrants or the fact that he was technically missing. He reached through the broken window and took her hand. The van above them groaned. Metal shifted. A fresh wave of gasoline rolled closer. "Is it going to explode?" she asked. He smelled smoke. He didn't lie. "I don't know." He looked up. 30 yards away, men on motorcycles were forcing their way through traffic along the shoulder. Heavy bikes, loud engines, leather vests. A patch on their backs caught the sun. The red and white wings of the Hell's Angels ***. The girl's eyes filled. "My dad!" she breathed. Noah didn't understand yet, but the roar of 801 engines was getting closer. And the van shifted again. The motorcycles didn't slow. They roared past stalled cars, dust and gravel kicking into the air. The sound wasn't just loud, it was thunder. They stopped hard near the wreck. At the front was a man built like he'd been carved from oak. Gray beard braided at the end, leather vest heavy with patches. On the back, Arizona charter. His name was Marcus Reaper Vale, president, father. And the last man most people would want to meet in a crisis. He saw the SUV. He saw the van. Then he saw his daughter pinned beneath it. "Lena!" he roared. The name cut through the noise. Noah flinched but didn't let go of her hand. Marcus moved toward the wreck and then froze, because he saw Noah. A skinny runaway kid, wedged beneath twisted steel, lying in gasoline, holding Lena's hand like it was the only thing keeping her alive. For half a second, Marcus misunderstood. His hand grabbed Noah's hoodie. "Get away from her!" Lena coughed, blood touching her lip. "Dad, no, he's helping." Everything stopped. Marcus really looked at the boy. He saw the torn palms, the burned jeans, the way Noah's shoulder braced the sagging frame to keep pressure off Lena's chest. He let go. "How long?" Marcus asked. 10 minutes, Noah answered. "Maybe less before it shifts again." Smoke thickened. The van creaked like an animal in pain. Behind Marcus, 800 more bikers were arriving, an entire regional gathering that had been riding together that afternoon. Engines cut off. Boots hit pavement. The police sirens wailed in the distance. And in the middle of it all, a runaway who had spent his life running was suddenly the anchor holding everything together. Marcus knelt. "You don't leave her," he said quietly. Noah didn't look up. "I'm not." The officers arrived with hands on holsters. To them, it looked like chaos. An outlaw motorcycle club surrounding a crash site, smoke rising, fuel spilling, a boy under wreckage. "Everyone step back," an officer shouted. Nobody moved. Marcus stood slowly. "That's my daughter," he said. Protocol demanded distance. Time demanded action. The van groaned again, louder this time. A support strut snapped. Noah felt the vibration through his ribs. "It's shifting," he yelled. Marcus barked orders, not like a criminal, like a commander. "Stabilize the rear frame. Get the jack from Dutch's saddlebag. Move." The bikers didn't argue. They moved with precision. Years of mechanical work and roadside breakdowns had taught them more than people assumed. One officer started forward. "Sir, you need to clear the area." "Then help," Marcus replied without looking at him. The officer hesitated, then joined them. Under the van, Noah felt Lena's breathing grow shallow. "Stay with me," he whispered. "I'm scared," she said. "So am I." He could hear sirens growing louder. If they ran his name, they'd find the runaway report. He'd go back to Darren, back to fists and closed curtains. He glanced toward the open desert. Freedom was right there. All he had to do was let go. Lena's fingers tightened weakly around his. "Please." Noah exhaled. He pressed his shoulder harder against the metal, taking more of the weight. The van dropped another inch. Pain exploded through his collarbone. He didn't scream. He stayed. The jack slipped the first time. Metal screeched. Someone shouted. The van lurched. Instinct took over. Noah twisted his body fully over the broken window frame, shielding Lena's face with his back just as a jagged edge collapsed inward. The steel sliced into his shoulder. White-hot pain. He tasted blood, but Lena was still breathing. Marcus saw it happen. The boy didn't flinch away, didn't try to escape. He absorbed it, like it was his job. "Lift!" Marcus roared. This time 20 bikers pressed together, muscle, leather, sweat. The jack held. Another wedge slid into place. Slowly, impossibly, the pressure eased off Lena's chest. Paramedics rushed forward now that the frame was stabilized. They worked fast, cutting away what remained of the roof. When they pulled Lena free, she screamed once, then collapsed into oxygen and arms. Noah tried to crawl back, his vision blurred. Someone grabbed him before he hit the pavement. Marcus, the big man, held the trembling runaway like he weighed nothing. Blood soaked through Noah's hoodie. Sirens screamed louder now. An officer approached with a tablet. "Son, what's your name?" Noah's eyes fluttered. For a second, fear returned. This was the part where he lost everything. Marcus looked at him, then at the officer. "He's with us," Marcus said, and behind him, 801 bikers nodded as one. The ambulance doors slammed shut on Lena. Another stretcher rolled toward Noah. He tried to sit up. "I'm fine," he muttered, even though blood soaked his sleeve and his shoulder burned like it had been branded. "You're not fine," the paramedic said gently. Across the asphalt, Marcus stood frozen. His daughter was inside one ambulance. The boy who saved her was being loaded into another, and police were moving closer. One officer stepped forward with a tablet in hand. "Kid, I need your name." Noah's stomach dropped. This was the sound he feared more than sirens, the sound of paperwork. He looked at Marcus, not asking for rescue, just bracing for consequence, for the system, for the label Runaway. "Noah Cole," he whispered. The officer typed. A pause, brows lifted slightly. "There's a missing juvenile report out of *Mesa*, he said carefully. "Foster placement." The word hung there, placement, like he was a package. Noah closed his eyes. Marcus felt something shift inside his chest. He had seen men break bones and walk away laughing. He had buried brothers without tears. But the way this kid went still, not from pain, but from expectation, did something else entirely. "Is he under arrest?" Marcus asked evenly. "Technically," the officer said, "he's listed as a runaway. Protocol says we notify guardians and child services." "Guardians?" Marcus looked at Noah again. The boy wasn't fighting, wasn't pleading, he just nodded slightly, like he knew how this went, like he had practiced surrender. Marcus stepped closer. "He doesn't go anywhere tonight," he said. The officer met his eyes. "That's not your decision." Behind Marcus, 800 engines sat silent. Leather vests caught the wind. Nobody moved, nobody spoke, but every man there was watching. And for the first time that day, the tension wasn't about gasoline or metal. It was about a boy who had chosen to stay, and what the world would choose to do with him now. The emergency wing of *** banner, Desert Medical Center ***, smelled like antiseptic and fear. Lena was in surgery, collapsed lung, crushed ribs, internal bleeding. Doctors moved fast. Marcus stood in the hallway, still wearing his cut. Blood, not his own, had dried across the front of it. Down the corridor, Noah sat on a gurney with his shoulder stitched and bandaged. 2 officers stood nearby, not aggressive, just present. Noah stared at the floor. He wasn't crying. He wasn't shaking. He just looked tired. The nurse approached Marcus quietly. "The boy kept asking if she made it," she said. "That's all he's worried about." Marcus swallowed. He walked down the hall, boots heavy against tile. When he reached Noah, the officers shifted slightly. Marcus stopped a few feet away. "You saved her," he said. Noah shrugged. "She would have done the same." Marcus almost smiled. "No," he said softly, "most people didn't." Silence filled the space between them. "You got somewhere safe to go?" Marcus asked. Noah didn't answer immediately. Finally, "Not really." The honesty of it felt heavier than anything else that day. One officer cleared his throat. "Child Services is on the way." The words echoed like a door slamming. Noah's jaw tightened. He didn't beg. He didn't argue. He just accepted it. Marcus looked at the officers. Then at the long hallway where 801 bikers now filled every waiting chair, every corner, every stretch of wall. Men who were feared across highways, men who lived by loyalty, men who had just watched a boy risk his life for one of their own. Marcus exhaled slowly. "He's not alone," he said. And for the first time in Noah's life, that sentence wasn't a lie. Word spreads fast in biker circles, faster than sirens. By sunset, the hospital parking lot was a sea of chrome and leather. 801 members and affiliates of the *Hells Angels ** Arizona region stood outside under a sky turning orange. Not loud, not chaotic, just present. Inside, a social worker arrived with a clipboard. She was kind-eyed, professional. She read the report. "Runaway, prior incident at foster home, investigation pending." Pending, another word that meant waiting. She approached Noah carefully. "I'm not here to punish you," she said gently, "but we do need to place you somewhere safe tonight." Noah almost laughed at that. Safe. He glanced down the hallway at Marcus. Marcus stepped forward before Noah could answer. "With respect," he said calmly, "that boy laid under 3 tons of steel for my daughter." The social worker nodded. "I've read the report. He doesn't go back to someone who hurts him," Marcus added. Her pen paused. There it was, the unspoken truth. Abuse. She studied Noah more closely now, the way he flinched when doors closed too hard, the way he watched exits, the scars half hidden under his sleeve. "Is there documentation?" she asked carefully. Noah looked down. He had never reported it, because reporting meant staying, and staying meant worse. Marcus looked over his shoulder. 801 men stood in the hallway now, not threatening, not loud, just witnesses. Witnesses to what this boy had done. The social worker inhaled slowly. "I can authorize temporary medical hold pending investigation," she said, "but it's short-term." Marcus nodded once. Short-term was enough, because something had already shifted. And 801 hardened bikers were about to make a decision that would echo far beyond a hospital corridor. Lena woke up just after midnight. Machines beeped softly. Moonlight filtered through hospital blinds. Marcus was at her bedside instantly. Her voice was thin. "Dad, I'm here, baby." She blinked slowly. "The boy." Marcus leaned closer. "He's here too." She relaxed at that. "Don't let them send him back." The words were fragile, but firm. Marcus nodded. I won't. Across the hall, Noah sat in a quiet recovery room. A police officer still stationed outside. Standard procedure. He stared out the small window at the parking lot below. The bikes were still there. Headlights off now, just dark shapes under street lamps. Nobody had left. Noah didn't understand that. People always left. That was the rule. He heard boots outside his door. Marcus stepped inside alone. For a moment neither spoke. Then Marcus pulled a chair close. "You ever ride?" he asked. Noah shook his head. Marcus studied him. "You weren't scared?" Noah thought about it. "I was," he admitted. "I just didn't want her to be alone." Marcus exhaled slowly. "That's what loyalty is," he said. Noah didn't know that word in a healthy way. To him, loyalty meant surviving someone's temper. Marcus stood after a long silence. "You don't belong to paperwork," he said quietly. "You belong where you're valued." He paused at the door. "Get some sleep, son." Son, the word landed differently than placement. And outside, 801 bikers kept watch through the night. Morning light spilled across chrome. News vans had arrived. The story was everywhere. Runaway teen saves biker's daughter. Clips from phones showed Noah shielding Lena as metal collapsed. America saw a skinny boy in a torn hoodie. The bikers saw something else. At 9:17 a.m., Lena was wheeled out of ICU, stable, weak but smiling. Marcus walked beside her bed, and behind him, filling the corridor wall to wall, stood 801 men. Doctors had never seen silence like that. When Lena saw Noah in a wheelchair across the hall, she reached for him. He rolled closer awkwardly. "You stayed," she whispered. He nodded. She squeezed his good hand. "Thank you." Something inside Noah cracked open. Not pain, relief. Marcus stepped forward. He removed his leather vest slowly. The room grew still. He placed it over Noah's shoulders. Not as a patch, not as a member, but as protection, a symbol. And then it happened. One biker wiped his eyes, then another, and another, until 801 men who had faced prison, fights, and funerals without blinking were openly crying in a hospital hallway. Not because of fear, not because of loss, but because a boy who had every reason to run had chosen to stay, and in doing so reminded them what strength really looked like. The cameras didn't capture the quiet part, the part where Marcus bent down and whispered into Noah's ear, "Your family now." File in *Mesa****. Old complaints were reviewed, school absences, a nurse's note about bruising months ago that could not be confirmed, a neighbor's anonymous call that never went anywhere. Now there were new details, hospital photos, witness statements from 801 bikers, and one clear fact: Noah had flinched when an officer raised his voice. A caseworker named Diane visited the foster home that evening. Darren Pike answered the door, confident, calm, prepared. "He's troubled," Darren said smoothly, "runs away for attention, makes stories." But for the first time, someone wasn't just listening. They were looking. At the cracked knuckles, at the hole punched through drywall, at the fear that flashed just briefly when Darren realized the whole state had seen Noah on television. Back at the hospital, Noah sat beside Lena's bed. She was pale, ribs wrapped tight, but smiling softly. "You could have left," she said. "I almost did," he admitted. She studied him. "But you didn't." He shook his head. "I didn't want you to be alone." Lena swallowed carefully. "Neither did I." Outside her room, Marcus spoke quietly with Diane. "If he can't go back," she said, "we'll need placement." Marcus didn't hesitate. "Then place him with me." Diane blinked. "You understand the background checks, the inspections." "Do them," Marcus said. "Do all of it." Down the hallway, 801 bikers waited. Not to intimidate, not to pressure, just to witness. Because sometimes the strongest protection isn't noise, it's presence. And for the first time in Noah's life, the system wasn't deciding his fate alone. 2 weeks later, Noah stood outside Marcus's house. It wasn't what people expected. No iron gates, no dark fortress, just a modest home outside Phoenix ***, with wind chimes on the porch and curtains pulled wide open. Open. Noah noticed that first. The home study had passed. Background checks cleared. The club's reputation had made officials cautious, but thorough investigation told a different story. Marcus had no criminal record involving children, no violence charges, just traffic violations and decades of loyalty to a brotherhood. Lena waited at the door, still moving carefully but stronger every day. "You ready?" she asked. Noah hesitated. Ready wasn't the word, but he nodded anyway. Inside, the walls held photos. Bikes, barbecues, birthdays, a little girl sitting on a motorcycle tank grinning at the camera. "You don't have to call me anything," Marcus said gently from behind him. "No pressure." Noah swallowed. "Okay." They showed him a small bedroom at the end of the hall, fresh sheets, a desk by the window, a door that locked from the inside. "You're safe here," Lena said. Noah stepped inside slowly. He placed his backpack on the floor, unzipped it, and for the first time in years, he didn't keep it packed. That night, he lay awake listening. No shouting, no slammed doors, just the hum of the refrigerator and distant crickets. He didn't realize he had fallen asleep until morning light warmed his face. When he stepped into the kitchen, Marcus was already there making coffee. "Morning," Marcus said simply. Noah stood in the doorway, testing the word in his mind. Home, 3 months later, Noah sat on the back of a motorcycle for the first time. Helmet strapped tight, hands unsure at first. Marcus adjusted the mirror. "You don't hold on because you're scared," Marcus said calmly. "You hold on because we ride together." The engine roared to life. They pulled onto the highway. Wind pressed against Noah's chest. The desert stretched wide and endless. Freedom felt different now. It wasn't running. It wasn't hiding. It was staying. They rode toward a regional gathering outside Tucson Asterisk. Hundreds of bikes already lined the open field when they arrived. Engines cut, helmets lifted. Men nodded as Noah stepped off behind Marcus, not as an outsider, not as a charity case, but as family. Lena walked carefully through the crowd toward him. Her scars had faded but not disappeared. Neither had his. She handed him something small, a leather keychain, stamped with a single word, "Stay." He smiled. Later, as the sun dipped low, Marcus stood before the gathered riders. He didn't give speeches often, but this time he did. "Strength ain't loud," he said. "Strength is a skinny kid in a gasoline pool who refuses to let go." The crowd grew quiet. Noah felt heat rise to his face. He wasn't used to being seen, but he didn't shrink this time. He stood taller because he understood something now. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who show up when the van shifts and the smoke thickens. And sometimes it's the ones who decide you're worth staying for. The hearing took place on a Tuesday morning. Family court in Maricopa County, ***. Small room, wooden benches, quiet tension. Darren Pike sat on one side with a public defender. Marcus sat on the other. No leather vest this time, just a pressed shirt. Noah sat between them. The judge reviewed reports carefully. Hospital records, photographs, witness testimony, school documentation. The reopened investigation had uncovered enough. Patterns, bruises, control. The judge removed Darren's foster license effective immediately. Noah's placement was terminated. Then came the question of guardianship. Marcus had completed every requirement. Background checks, financial review, home evaluation. The judge looked over her glasses at Noah. "Do you wish to remain with Mr. Vale?" Noah didn't hesitate. "Yes, ma'am." The gavel struck softly. Guardianship granted. Simple words, heavy meaning. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited. Marcus shielded Noah gently from cameras, not hiding him, protecting him. One reporter asked loudly, "Why take him in?" Marcus looked at Noah before answering. "Because he stayed." That afternoon, they stopped at a diner on the way home. Noah ordered without counting money in his pocket, a small thing, but new. When the waitress asked how they were celebrating, Lena smiled. "We're just having lunch with my brother." "Brother?" Noah looked down at the table for a second, blinking hard. Then he smiled too. A year passed. Scars faded into thin silver lines. Noah grew taller, stronger. He started therapy, started school again, started sleeping through the night. Sometimes he still flinched at loud voices. Healing isn't instant, but it's possible. On the anniversary of the crash, they returned to that stretch of highway outside Phoenix ***. Traffic moved normally now. The asphalt held no sign of what had happened, but they remembered. Lena stood beside Noah at the shoulder. "You changed my life," she said quietly. He shook his head. "You changed mine." Marcus stepped forward. He didn't bring the whole club this time, just a few close brothers. He placed a small metal charm at the roadside, not to mark tragedy, to mark choice. Noah looked out at the desert. A year ago, he had wanted to disappear into it. Now he understood something different. You don't become strong by running from fire. You become strong by standing in it for someone else. He felt Marcus' hand on his shoulder. Steady, solid, proud of you, son. Noah didn't look away this time. He didn't shrink. He didn't brace for impact. He stood there under the Arizona sun, not invisible, not forgotten, not temporary. He stayed. And because he stayed, 801 hardened bikers learned that strength is not measured in engines or patches. It's measured in the quiet decision to hold someone's hand when the world is collapsing and never let go. If this story moved you, remember, someone out there needs you to stay. Like this video, subscribe and press the bell icon so you never miss a story that reminds you you're not alone. Because sometimes the smallest act of courage changes everything.